Elizabeth Chappell, a lifelong entrepreneur who finally found my niche. After years of new ideas and jumping from business to business, I figured out how to turn a craft into a successful career. In 2016, I started a monthly subscription box for quilters. That little startup has grown into a thriving, multiple six-figure business that I am so proud of. As a published author, designer of fabrics and patterns being sold throughout the world, my favorite thing to do is to teach others how to grow a career of their dreams. Each week, you'll hear from me or from other guests who are creative entrepreneurs, so you can learn exactly what to do and what not to do to grow a career that's more rewarding and successful than you ever thought possible. If you're ready to turn your craft into a career that you love, I am so excited you're here. Welcome to the Craft to Career podcast. Welcome. I'm really excited to record this episode because, oddly enough, it's the dead of summer and I'm home alone. My kids and husband are gone. The house is quiet and I got a little bored actually, but now I'm in a chatty mood. And so I decided I'm going to record some podcast episodes. So you've got me in a chatty mood while I'm home alone. So buckle up. We'll see. I may just chat your ear off here. But this specific episode came about because I did a Q&A in my stories. Ask me anything. And someone asked, how do you make quilty friends? And so while this is not specifically about making quilty friends, I'm talking about how to make business friends. And the same goes for quilty, insert whatever niche genre you're in, or life in general, just how to make friends. And I also just want to give a caveat that I have seen people with large followings who get together with other people with large followings. And even sometimes they're like on a private jet and just living this lavish lifestyle. And I feel this weird sense of FOMO, which is definitely not the vibe I'm wanting to give ever, which is fine. I don't want to shame anyone for their lifestyle and their friends, but I'm definitely not trying to make anyone feel FOMO. However, this question did come about when I recently, after getting back from a trip with Jen Levin of Gathered Cotton, she and I have been quilty friends for years. And I don't even think I posted who I was with. Maybe I did. But I posted that I was with a friend and we were on a trip together. And then this question came about, how do you make quilty friends? So I hope that this question doesn't come about from a place of FOMO or anything like that. So just know that's never my intent. However, I have made some really great friends in the quilting community and through my business throughout the years. And there are definitely some tangible things that have helped me do that. And so I want to share those things with you. And first, I want to read a review. I love when you guys leave reviews and that I get to hear from you what's resonating. This one says, love it. I love this podcast. Elizabeth is so down to earth / real. The knowledge she shares seems so doable and helpful to anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur. Thanks, Elizabeth, for the time and effort you put into this podcast. Such great guests. So thank you so much. I don't know how to read the name. I'm going to give it a shot. Becca Homeka. Oh, that actually makes sense. Becca Homeka. So thank you for writing your review. And I'm glad that you find the podcast very down to earth and real and helpful with great guests. So thank you. And I do have a really amazing guest coming up soon. So get excited. But for now, let's chat about friends, how to make friends in the business world, in quilting, and whatever your niche might be. So when I started my business, this particular business, I remember looking at people in the quilting industry who had other friends in the quilting industry. And I did not have other friends in the quilting industry. I had my business partner. So someone from the outside looking in would have been like, no, you had a really great friend. And I did. And I think that's one thing to point out is that we're often blind to our own situations, that you probably have a good friend or a couple that you take for granted, and we take for granted. And if someone else is looking in on that, they might be like, man, that's amazing. I wish I had that. So there's always, there's that. But rewind. So starting my business, I remember seeing people who had friends and they'd go on these retreats together. And it all felt very like they were in this glass castle and I didn't know how to get in, like how. So I got to know one of them and I was like, so how did you get to know all these people? And it was just a random trail of events, which has been the case for me. So I'm going to share some particular specific things that I have done that have led to friendships, and then just talk about some general ideas. But one, so Jen Levin, Gather Cotton, who I love and love to go on trips with her. She became a friend because, gosh, probably about 6 years ago now, she reached out and she had just been certified to be a life coach. And I call it a podcast. She's like, it's not a podcast, Elizabeth. And I, to this day, am like, I was a guest on your podcast. She's like, it's not a podcast. It was not a podcast, apparently, but it was a recording, like what I do for a podcast, but it was on like a website, not found, on a podcast platform. But she asked if I would be interviewed, and I said yes. And I don't even remember what exactly happened after that, but that's how we met and became friends. And I know she ended up taking my quilt pattern writing course, and I don't know if that was before or after I'm putting air quotes, podcast. We're just going to call it a podcast for ease, if I don't know what else to call it. But we stayed in touch, and yeah, we just kind of stayed in touch. And I saw her at Quilt Market one year, and we really connected more in person at Quilt Market, and then just kind of, kept DMing each other. I must have gotten her phone number because we would text each other. And then this was going out on a limb. I wanted to go visit London, and she had mentioned that she loves to visit London and travel there. We had never traveled together. And I just asked her, there was like randomly, anyone with kids knows how precious it is, our time to like be able to travel and finances, but the stars aligned and there was like a window where I could go and my husband wasn't able to go. And I was like, man, if I just had a friend who'd go to London with me. And I reached out to Jen and was like, a random question. Would you want to go to London with me? And she's like, oh my gosh, I would love to. And so that's where we really like took the friendship to the next level. But that was me going out on a major, it could have, I'm just laughing. It could have gone horribly wrong, but it didn't. It went really well. And I had a hunch because we had talked, and on that podcast, again, air quotes, that I was on with her, we went pretty deep. And so I knew we aligned on a lot of thoughts, and anyhow, so that's a very extreme example of becoming, a friend and how that happened. But other friendships, I honestly, a lot of times, I'll give another specific example, but I will look at people on Instagram and I will think to myself, my goodness, I really like that person. I love the things they're producing. It's beautiful. But in their stories and when they talk and in their comments, I like their energy. They seem nice. Like for me personally, I look for people who are nice. They see the good in others. They're positive. I get real nervous to be around people who are constantly like negative about things. So if they're positive, have a really good energy, I'm like, all right, let's take this friendship to the next level. So Liza Taylor is another example. I loved her, the things she made with fabric. I loved it. And I hope I'm getting this right. She'll have to correct me if I'm wrong because it's been a while now, but I reached out to her and asked if she would make a sample quilt for using one of my patterns. I just said, hey, I'd love to send you this pattern. I love whatever you make. So just use whatever you want. Just if you make that, I would love to share about it. And she made, of course, a beautiful little quilt. I think she made a few wall hangings. It was my After the Rain. It was a rainbow pattern. And she made a few just single blocks that you could hang up on your wall, and a quilt as well. And her photos were stunning. And she was just really sweet to interact with. And I forgot this, but years later, she told me that I told her, I have to get this right. As either like you should design patterns or you should sell bundles or something. Like, you've got a really good eye. You should do something with this. And so she ended up taking my quilt pattern writing course. And I'm trying to think. Oh, I know. So we knew each other from that. We were like Instagram buddies. And then I wanted to do a retreat, which I've done the Quilterpreneur retreats, but I was a little bit nervous to like do a full-on retreat with strangers. So I reached out to a few people that I really thought I would get along with, Liza being one of them, and said, hey, I'm just putting together a small group of people. We went to Utah. Let's stay here. We went and visited Riley Blake. My friend owns Mix Hers. It's like a supplement company. And we visited that company and went up to Sundance. And anyhow, it was like a mini retreat trying to see if I wanted to do this. But I handpicked the people who I thought would be really great. And we did. We all got along really well. But that, again, was me really putting myself out there and organizing something. And I guess just the lack of inhibition, I just kind of go for it, like, hey, you seem really fun. Let's get together. And I've done this again, actually, with someone who we haven't gotten together yet, but I'm hoping to next year. I just honestly love her and her energy. And I reached out and was like, let's get together. So this is a theme. This is a theme in my life. I will really put myself out there. Now, it may sound like it's all rainbows and butterflies, and it turns out perfectly every time. And oh my goodness, now you have all these amazing friends because you just have no inhibitions. One, I am an introvert, and I know that sounds like, no, you're not. But when I say introvert, what I mean is when I need to recharge my battery, it looks like being alone. So I do still like people. I like to interact with people. Like, another reason Jen and I get along so well, Gathered Cotton, she's like, we need our own hotel rooms because we both, like, we love to be together, but we also need our own space. And I love that. I'm like, yes, okay, this is good. So I love people, but I also, need a little bit of my own time, my like downtime. But point is, like what I was saying, it's not always just rainbows and butterflies for me. And I'm not saying this to be like, oh, be careful, but just to paint a reality that if this is this way for you, it's this way for me too. It's this way for everyone. We're human beings and we don't always mesh with everyone. And we might mesh for a little bit and then we don't. And there are some friends I had in the quilting and business world who we're just not in touch with anymore. And there are a couple who I honestly don't know what happened. I'm like, I don't know, but it's been long enough that I'm like, do I just reach out? I don't know what happened. So, and then there's somewhere I know exactly what happened and it just didn't go well. We just are very different, communicate differently, see things differently, and there are some people who I've tried to reach out to and tried to kindle a friendship like, hey, I'd love to come and learn this. If you were to teach me this, I'd love to hire you, And they politely said no. And so it happens, but it's not going to stop me from reaching out to more people who I think, oh, we could be good friends. I could really get along with them. So having friends really matters, especially in a business, because it is, especially what we do. We're in our homes. You may have a team, but I mean, I'm even trying to whittle down. My team is not as big as it once was. They are not doing as much as they once were. We are not interacting the way that we were. So no, my team does not offer me filling my social cup the way that I need my social cup to be filled. And so it can be very isolating. And, sometimes you're just like, man, I just would love to bounce this idea off somebody. And we have different friends. I have, certain friends that I love because they will give me the honest truth. And I will go to them when I'm like, don't sugarcoat it, just give it to me straight. And then if I need someone soft and like, I'm really struggling emotionally, I go to the more soft and friendly, so there's different friendships and each person provides something different. But especially in a business, it's really, really important to have people in your corner because business is hard, and sometimes you'll get a really weird email or someone's really cranky and you just need someone to be like, wait, hold on, take a look at this. And they'll be like, don't worry, you're good. This is weird. So it's nice to have people in your corner. And then if we're zooming out a little bit and we're just talking about quilting or photography, whatever your niche is, again, we are social beings. We want and crave connection and friendship. And I will just say, I think sometimes we look at, again, the general a person can look at someone else and think, man, if only I were friends with them, if only I could have that friendship. Or like, I mentioned at the beginning, I've seen these big influencers who are so successful and they're friends with these other successful people. And I'm like, well, how on earth did they get to be friends with these successful people? The trick is they've been friends forever. They've been friends since before they were successful. And so the trick is to just find people who you like and be friends with them. And if they're a good friend, they're going to stick. And some of those friends are going to grow with you. Some don't. But like when you see people who have really good friendships and man, how did they get to know each other? They've probably been friends for a while. And then once let's say you are in business and you get to be good friends with someone else and you both start growing your business together. Once you get to be bigger, you'll naturally meet other people who have a big successful business and you'll become friends because you have a big successful business. And so like attracts like, you will attract people who have your kind of energy. And I have heard, if you want to see what your life's going to be like, look at the 5 people who you spend the most time with. What do their lives look like? There's your future. And so if you don't like what you're seeing with the people who you're hanging out with, then change it up and try and be the kind of person that you would want to hang out with. Like I mentioned, there are people who can be a bit Debbie Downerish, but if you want to have good friends and have joy in life, it's just so much more enjoyable to be around people who have a good laugh or are open-minded, can see the good in others. So that's just a little tidbit. As a small business owner, we know 2 things. We need a product to sell and we need people to buy it. But how do we actually get people to buy? Here is my little secret. Your biggest sales will come every time you send an email to your audience. That's right. Whether this surprises you or you already know the power of email marketing, one thing is clear. You need the right email platform. And that's why I use Flowdesk. Flowdesk is made for small business owners. And unlike most email providers, Flowdesk does not charge you the more your audience grows. Plus, creating beautiful, easy to read emails has never been easier. So if you are looking for a user-friendly way to collect email addresses and grow your audience, try Flowdesk. And with code QuiltersCandy, you will get 50% off your first year. Experience how easy it is to grow and nurture your audience with Flowdesk. But yeah, emotional support. It's just nice to have people who get it, who with your business, with your hobby, whatever it might be. And also to have some accountability, someone who can kind of push you. I have another friend, Shannon Boyer, who helped me improve immensely my quilt pattern writing course. And I just love checking in with her. We'll just, how are you? Hey, I'm thinking of doing this. And we'll just bounce ideas off of each other. And it's invaluable. It's so nice to have a friend like that who not only her opinion I trust, but she has good advice, because there are some people who give business advice that I'm like, oh, I wasn't really looking for that or nah, but there are people, again, different pools of people, but it's good to have someone whose business advice you can trust. And at the end of the day, just a little reminder, that no matter what advice anyone has for you, you are in charge of your business. So make sure that that internal compass is really centered on your true north. In fact, because I'm at home recording back-to-back podcasts, I did just record probably last week's, and I mentioned ever so briefly, I asked ChatGPT if I should continue selling my Quilt Pattern Ready course as is, or if I should evergreen it. And ChatGPT told me no. Oh, thank goodness. So now I know I don't need to do that. Something on those lines. And I thought, I hope the listeners don't think that I'm giving all this authority and power to ChatGPT, like, oh, I have a new business code, so it's ChatGPT. No, no, no. Like for kicks, I asked ChatGPT what it thought. And I just so happened to, in my heart of hearts, agree with the response that it gave. But no matter if it's a person or a coach or ChatGPT, whatever, AI, you want to really tap into your true north. We don't ever want to be persuaded to do something that isn't in alignment with what we want to do. But I also think true friends will remind you of that and will respect that. They're not going to push you to try and do something that you don't want to do or that you don't feel good about. So that's just another little 2 cents. So then where do we find business friends? And you've noticed a theme here. A lot of my friends I find on Instagram. So social media is a great way to meet people because people share themselves, in their stories, their reels, their posts. You can get a good sense for a person through social media. So that's one place that you can do it. There's also online courses and memberships. So I will say, like the quilt pattern writing course, one of the things that makes me so happy is to hear my alumni tell me, oh, I'm still meeting with my small group. I met so-and-so in the course. In fact, right now, Maggie, she is putting together this Halloween sew-along, and it's all alumni from the quilt pattern writing course. And 2 of them, one lives in the UK, one in America, but the American was traveling to the UK and she met up with one of her friends in the UK. And it's beautiful to see these connections that people make. But point is, a course where there are small groups, where there's a community, especially, and I'm not saying it has to be my course, but it's a niche course. They are quilters who are learning how to write quilt patterns. And then therefore they're going to try and learn how to grow their business and their audience. So it's a very niche interest. And so these people are all very, very interested in the same minute things. And so that's instantly like you're going to connect over that. So again, whether it's pottery or painting or whatever it might be, I mean, even just quilting, if you want to learn how to like hand quilt a quilt, find a group of people, a course, a membership, even in person. I think that could be even more powerful. There's like a local quilt shop, but go and just meet people who are interested in the same things that you're interested in. And again, those online courses and memberships are great for that. And I'll give a plug. Liza Taylor has a Foundation Paper Piece membership, and they have a really great community and they go and do live calls. So that's another example of how you can go and meet people. And when you're on those live calls or in a small group, you're going to naturally gravitate towards certain people. Again, that energy, and just be like, man, I really like them. We should take this friendship offline, Yeah. And I also remember, in person, the next thing, it's in-person retreats or events, local meetups. So put yourself out there a little bit. If there is, Quilt Con, Quilt Market, that kind of a thing, if there's a class that you want to take, just put yourself out there and go. Sign up for a class. Like I'm thinking Quilt Market. I just was looking, it comes here to Houston. They have some classes. So even you might feel overwhelmed, like, oh, it's so big. There's so many people. Well, there are courses that you can go to within those big events. And then you will have to put yourself out there a little bit, but like say hi to the person next to you or start talking to someone, go up to a booth. I love your stuff. Hey, if you've got a minute, let's say hi, or I don't know. I was going to say, let's grab lunch, but that might feel a little overwhelming if they don't have time. So yeah, in-person events, retreats, and the Quilterpreneur retreat that I had last fall at Sundance. I remember Jenna Kutcher was speaking, and she did an open on the spot Q&A. And one of the women there was like asking this question: how can I have like a group of accountability of friends? And I loved Jenna's answer. She was like, look around this room. These are your people. You are in the right place. And right there, she's like, who else here is interested in that and having a small group? And a few women raised their hand. She's like, okay, you three, after this is done, get together and chat and set up a time to get together. And it was so cool. I mean, it's a lot less tricky, confusing, whatever than you think it is. It's just a little bit matter of like tapping someone on the shoulder, figuratively, or probably figuratively. We don't really want to go and tap someone on the shoulder, but just say, hey, I love what you're doing. And I've done that myself. I actually started some peer-led masterminds because I've definitely paid to do masterminds and to be in courses. And then I also have done like, wait, I paid a lot of money, but I have these people that I met mostly on my podcast. Actually, they were guests on my podcast. And I was like, I love what you're about. What if we just get together once a month on a Zoom call and, chat with each other and hold each other accountable? So it's just really a matter of reaching out, putting yourself out there a little bit, and just knowing that it's okay. Someone might say no, it might not work out. It's definitely happened for me. And it's just not the end of the world. I mean, there are some times here and there where I'll see online that person will see my story and I'm like, man, I wonder what they think about me. Oh, well, and you just got to move along because I have no idea what they think about me. But I do know that I have some really amazing friends and that it's worked out really well, like 90% of the time. So definitely put yourself out there. And then just how to start a conversation. Just be genuine. I think complimenting someone's work, like, I love what you're doing. And I'd give specific examples like, I loved how you responded to XYZ, or I love that. I don't know. For me, that's something that stands out to me. So I'm using examples for me, but like, I love the positive energy that you have about this, or how kind you were to so-and-so, or I really loved your launch. It looked so successful. I am super impressed with how you've run this. I would love to be in a little business accountability group if you're interested, or like my friend Jen. Hey, I really like you. Do you want to go to London? That's a bit extreme, a little bit out there, but something like that. And just know that you're probably going to be the first person to reach out. And whoever you're reaching out to most likely wants a friend. I've never met a person who doesn't want another friend. So if your energies are good, a good match, of course, they're going to want to be friends with you. And if they're not a good match, it does not mean anything about you. It just means that, like cookies and milk goes well together. Cookies and apple juice. It's not that one is wrong or bad. They just maybe don't make a good match together. So yeah, just keep that in mind as you move forward with being a little bit like putting yourself out there a little bit. And then I would say just try not to be overbearing. As I was like, oh, if you're at Quilt Market or QuiltCon, you go up to someone, hey, do you want to go to lunch? That could be a big ask, So you want to start off really small and not overwhelming, but just, hey, I really like this. Good job, whatever. And then see how they respond. Now, the few people that I have really gone out on a limb and been like, hey, I'm hosting a retreat, or I'm inviting a few people to Utah. They are people who I did know a little bit more and had some interaction with. So it wasn't this huge leap of like, wow, that's random, So you want to just kind of nurture that friendship, be a cheerleader, share about them on social media, like say, oh my gosh, go take a look at so-and-so. It's amazing. Ask, hey, are you going to be at Quilt Market? Are you going to be at QuiltCon? If there's any in-person events that they're going to be at, and then say, oh, it'd be really fun to meet up and say hi in person. And then see how it goes when you're talking in person. And if that goes well, say, oh my gosh, we should walk the floor together or whatever, but just kind of take it gradually and slowly. And you don't want to be too overbearing right at first. But, if someone were to reach out to me and it's someone who I have been like admiring from a distance, I'd be beyond flattered. I'd be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for reaching out. I'm so grateful for the friendships that I have had in my business. It's done so much for me as far as bringing fulfillment and joy to my life. It's brought a lot of support through the tough times, through launches. I just am so grateful for the friends who will send Christmas cards or send a little note. Someone, of my very first launch sent a gift. Congrats on your launch. Sending a little birthday something. I mean, just being good friends. It just means a lot in this life. Like I said, we're social beings, and to have true friends who are going to stick up for you through thick and thin. Because heaven knows my business has been through thick and thin, but it's really, really nice to have people who are in your corner. And when you can be a good friend, you will attract those good friends as well. So I hope that you found this helpful as you might be thinking about how you can find business friends or quilting or, whatever that niche might be. Just to encourage you to kind of reach out, put yourself out there and be the kind of friend that you want to attract. And good luck. I mean, it's really, really fun to make those connections. It really just makes life, business, everything that we're doing so much sweeter. So thank you for being here. Thank you to the person who asked that question. If you have a topic that you'd love to hear on the podcast, just send me a DM or send me an email, hello@quilterscandy.com. I would love to. I'm thinking of doing like a Q&A session on the podcast. So look for that coming out in an email or in my Instagram stories. But I would love to hear what topics are interesting to you and what things would be helpful. So thank you so much for being here. And until next time, take care.